Hello everyone, welcome back to the shooting game with Professor R, where we take a look at the different tanks in World of Tanks, and we analyze their armor to find where you should be shooting them, and where you should not be shooting them. Now today's going to be a little bit of a test run. Test run in terms of 1080p, so we're going to try it out for a few times, we'll see how it works, and hopefully this can become a permanent thing. So starting off, we're going to look at the German premium tanks. At tier 8 we have the heavy tank Low. It has 120 frontal hull armor, 100 on the sides, 80 on the rear. The turret is similar, with only the turret having 20 less on the side. Alright, so up front, with all the angles and everything, on paper it's 120, but as for the lower plate, you're going to need at least 150 to go through, and for the upper plate, at least 200. And this is just pointing straight on, this doesn't include any extra angles. Right here is a weak spot. This little thing right here, it's only 100 millimeters with 145 roughly with the angle. So if you're gonna have problems shooting in the front, just shoot at this little thing right here. As for the turret, yeah, good luck with that. If anything, you'll have to shoot, well, you're gonna have problems, but just shoot along here, not at the mantle, off to the sides a little bit, but not too far. The sides, all along here, it's 100 millimeters. So at tier 8, you probably wouldn't have any problems going through this. And if you're in a tier 6, you still shouldn't have any problems going through this, as long as it's not angled. The turret is only 80. The farther you shoot to the back, the harder it's going to be, as it is sloped back there. But just don't shoot too far forward, because then it's thick again, so anywhere in this general area you'll be fine. As for the tracks, you're going to need probably about 175 if you want to get through the tracks in the side. For the back, all back here is only 80 with sloping. You'll probably need at least 100. Same thing goes for the turret. Try to shoot on the around here. If you shoot here, it is a little bit stronger. But if you're having troubles, just shoot around this little box. And that's about it for the Low. There's nothing too important that stands out. There's no major weak spots, but there's no major strong points either. So, let's move on. Okay, this tank isn't on the World of Tanks tech tree, because you can only get it from Clan Wars. But, since it is in the game, we're going to take a look at it anyways. And it's worth a whopping 22,500 gold. And I don't know how much that is, but I know a T-34, which is about 12,000, is about 50 bucks. So this is probably a $100 tank-ish. But anyways, the armor of this, pretty strong. Up front, the lower plate is 200, but with the angling, you're gonna need probably about 275 or more. There's a little band right here. Since it's flat, it is 200 millimeters pretty much without an angle. So if you have to shoot at the front of a VK7201K, shoot pretty much where these plates combine. But if you're shooting up here, yeah, you're probably going to need about 300 at least. And if they're angled a little bit, you're probably not even going to get through that. These, you can shoot at them, but can't guarantee any damage. And up there's just ricochet. As for the turret, yeah, it's normal. Don't shoot at turrets. if you have to shoot at the turret, shoot as close to the mantlet as you can. Don't go too far because then it gets high because of the angle. Now with the sides, the side armor is 160, and in different spots around here, since it is angled and funny looking, it'll be a little bit more. So about 200 millimeters of penetration will go through the sides. For the turret, just don't shoot up here where the mantlet is, of course. Don't shoot too far back because that's where it's angled. Try to shoot as flat on as you can. And again, probably 200 will go through that. The tracks, don't bother shooting at the tracks unless you're tier 10 tank destroyer. Some tier 9s can go through it, and of course the ISU 152 may have a chance, but it's tough stuff. As for the back, this lower area is only 120, with the angling about 140. And there's a little box up here that's only 140. And around here is 120, even weaker too. So, if you have to shoot in the back, shoot around this box. And you'll be good. But if you have enough penetration, go through the box. If you shoot down here, you have to deal with angles the farther you shoot out. So shoot straight on. But you're still looking at least 170. But at tier 10, you shouldn't have any problems with that. No, I said you shouldn't, but you may. The game is different than what it says here, and angles in the game are different as well. So, that's pretty much it for the VK7201K. Let's move on. The next tank we're going to be looking at today is the Jagdtiger 88. It has 250 frontal hull armor, 80 on the sides, 80 on the rear. But it's not exactly that. We'll take a look at it in detail in Tank Inspector. The Jagdtiger 88 is pretty similar to the Jagdtiger, where on paper it says 250, but the 250 is only for the superstructure up top. Down here, the lower plate's a little bit strong. 120, but with the angling, you're probably going to need about 200. And you're going to need about 220 to get through the upper part of it as well. Tier 8s may not have a problem with this, but some tier 7s, well, most tier 7s and 6s may have troubles going through that. There is a weak spot here, which is this little gun, machine gun. If you shoot right on the gun, you only need about 120 and you're good. As for the superstructure, 250 and it's pretty flat, so if you got more than 250, go for it. But if you don't, you may have problems, especially if they're angled a little bit. You may have some little bit of problems. Of course, don't shoot the mantlet, because you probably won't bounce, and it's pretty well sloped. As for the sides, we have 80 millimeters of armor all around, and some areas are pretty flat, but there are a few angles, so at least 100 millimeters should be able to go through that. The tracks, you're going to need about 175 or more. And for the back, 120 should be able to do it. And the back of the superstructure is just flat, 80 millimeters, unless they're angled a little bit. But 120 millimeters can easily go through the back of this thing. So Jagdtiger 88 is a pretty strong tank when it's hull down, but given it any other situation, yeah, you're probably not going to survive very well. Alright, moving down to tier 7, we have the Panther M10, which sports 85 frontal hull armor, 50 on the sides, 40 on the rear, and the turret has 100 in the front, 45 on the sides, and also the rear. Now, I don't really see much of these tanks anymore, but it'll be beneficial to go through them anyways, just in case. This is a tier 7 tank. The lower plate is weak, 50 millimeters of armor. I'd say 100 or more would easily go through the bottom plate. The upper plate, I'd say 150 would comfortably go through that. There's a weak spot right here, a little hatch. It's only 50, so if you for some reason have troubles going through anything else, just shoot at that little hatch there. The turret, is all spaced armor. Pretty much. Depending on where you're shooting at. I'd say anything of 175 or more should be able to go through this turret, doesn't matter where you shoot. Unless you're shooting right down the barrel, but other than that you should be fine. For the sides of this tank, it's only 50 millimeters. It's even weaker if you go down a little bit. Down right here. So this section here is 50, this section here is 40. Then you got the tracks where you only need about 100 or more to go through there. Sides of the turret are extremely weak, only 45 millimeters. It looks like you cannot shoot in the back here. Yep, because it'll just go right through. Nothing. There's no turret there. It's just spaced armor. So of course, as you get up further, 100, as you're shooting through a gun mantlet a little bit. But other than that, you're fine. And for the back, 40 millimeters. With angling, it's not any more than 50, so I say 75 or more should be able to go through down here. The turret, the farther you move out as normal, the harder it gets. But there's a little weak spot here. If you can shoot at it through the spaced armor, you'll be fine. But really, anywhere back here, a 60 or more penetration should be able to easily go through that, no problem. And the last tank we're going to be looking at today is the Panzer IV-S. Tier 6, it has 80 millimeters of frontal armor, 30 on the sides, and 20 on the rear. The turret has 120 up front, and 60 on the sides, and also the rear. And last up today, we're looking at the Panzer IV-S tank inspector. The front is kind of interesting. The lower plate is only 30 millimeters. But you may have problems depending on what kind of gun you have. It is pretty well angled. Right here, this flat area, 80 millimeters. That's pretty much it all along here. Go up a little bit more, it's weak again. You'll only need about 50 or more to get through that. And this flat area here again is 80. With a few little weak spots, you're probably not going to be able to hit that. But over here, 50 millimeters of armor. And you probably only need about 75 to get through that. No problem. The turret, a little bit stronger. You probably need about in the 140s to get through the sides of it. Of course, don't shoot at the mantlet. But really, if you're in the front of this tank, you can just shoot right here and you'll be fine. The sides, .30 millimeters, all flat. Shooting at the tracks, you're going to add another 30. So if you're shooting at the tracks, probably 70 or more would be fine. Up here, yeah, easy. Little tier 1 tanks could probably penetrate that. The side of the turret, a little stronger than the side of the body. It's only 60 millimeters though. And up here, it's just spaced armor, 40 millimeters, so if you're having problems penetrating the side, just shoot this little thing, whatever that is up there. And for the back, yeah, nothing there, 20 millimeters of armor. You shouldn't have any problems going through the back here. But the turret, again, probably about 75 or more would be able to go through that easy. And shooting up at this wouldn't be recommended, as the angle is very steep and you're probably not going to hit it anyways. Especially when you have a big target like this, 20 millimeters of armor. Just shoot through that. So that's it for this episode. If you liked it, let me know in the comments and give this video a like. And tell me what tanks you want done next. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.